It is Sunday, March 4th, 2012. But between us, there is 250 years of life experience. We have been there, we have done that. So I think of this film as like a little message in a bottle for everybody you love and their children and their children's children. And what I want to start out with is just what brings you the most pleasure day by day, in a typical day. And I know for me, it's always a walk, and it's beauty. It's seeing something beautiful, and it's going on a little walk anywhere.
I guess I like lying on the couch and watching old movies.
Yeah, I'm right there. She and I share the same pain level.
Yeah, well, I like stepping from reality into fantasy, and that is probably my biggest joy.
I think dumpster diving. Finding something really good.
This is my family. I'm so proud.
Hey, look in the back of my truck. I got a bunch of bookcases from Barnes & Noble. They're throwing out all these perfectly good bookcases. It's all nice pine wood.
Ooh.
I can take it apart and build something else with it.
Hey,
Let's
that's
just
great.
throw it away. See the front yard?
Yeah, it's so cute.
No grass.
You did a good job.
The day I cleaned my locker out, I pulled around the corner and there's this awning sitting there. 12-foot long awning beside the road. You know, it's like $250 worth of aluminum alone. Threw it in the truck, painted it up, and stuck it in the house.
You should just say recycling.
Yeah.
That sounds so much more politically correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. When they redid the place across the street, the stuff I found out of that dumpster was incredible.
Yeah.
Like 5 doors out back. 3 of them are steel, all with doorknobs
Oh,
and
nice.
glass in some of them. And man, I'm telling you, finding stuff like that, like a seashell or whatever.
And
Well, certainly beauty and in the surroundings, nature, anything in nature. But there's no joy to replace a granddaughter curling up in your lap and wanting a back scratch or smiling or very slyly getting the humor when you try to kid around with them. So those
You're the
things.
queen of back rubs, by the way. You gave me a feeling.
Yeah.
And if you could sum yourself up in, 10 words, what would it be? Who are you?
It'd have to be topics like teacher, grandmother, parent. 10. That's too many. So,
You got 4.
I got 4. How about you?
Oh, being retarded. I mean, retired.
Oh, no!
Yes.
She'll have to edit that one out.
I'm not retired.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And how long have you been retired?
Coming up on a year, about 11 months, and it's the best thing ever. I thought I would really miss it, and I would lay around too much, and I did quite a bit, laying around watching movies.
Yeah, we agree on
And
that.
oh yeah, well you hurt so much sometimes you just don't want to do it. But lately I'm back to fishing, and even though I don't catch anything, I still
Well, that's
I
good.
love it, and I will be catching fish.
Next time we come.
Yeah,
Dinner at your
I
house.
promised you guys fish. That's the problem. If you promise fish to anybody, forget it. You're totally jinxed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We're good with the tomatoes, too. So.
I picked a bunch for you.
Oh,
Great.
Yeah.
And Anne, how would you describe
I
yourself?
guess I would say writer first. And mother, of course, grandmother, wife, civic activist, and ardent reader, and movie goer, but now they're not anything that I really want to see, so that's back to old movies and watching the videos I've collected. I would agree with Muff on the I forget what I was going to say.
I'm sorry. Oh, jeez. I'm sorry.
Granddaughter?
Yeah, your granddaughters.
I agree with the
2 granddaughters.
granddaughters. 2 granddaughters, thank you. 8 and 9 and 4. one born on the 4th of July. She was 4 on the 4th of July, so.
Aw.
Yeah, beautiful kids. Oh boy, they
Very
got the mix
curly.
of Puerto Rican, American, and
Yeah, they're lovely.
smart as can
They
be.
are.
They
yes. I would add one more thing though: appreciation of beauty, nature, the woods, and walking in the woods. That is gives me a lot of pleasure too.
I'm gonna be 60 in August.
Wow.
And I think that, you know, in my life I've had these major career shifts. During periods of transition, there's a tremendous temptation to jump from being really useful in one thing to being really useful at another thing. And there has to be a little hibernation in between, especially when you do something creative. You gotta go into the cocoon. And it is so un-American to go into a cocoon and not be useful and rest and listen to your inner impulse rather than the outer world. And the reason I thought of doing this video was because when Claire turned 50, I asked her what she'd learned from living for 50 years. And she said, I learned not to care so much what other people think. So that's what I've learned in 59 years.
Yeah.
How to take a nap.
And laugh at yourself, you know, and the stupid stuff you do. Especially you.
No, I don't. I'm drawing a blank there, Phil.
She'll edit that one.
Yeah.
My negativity and your
Yeah.
I think in '97, I had a real spiritual awakening, and I realized that I couldn't do it alone, and I consider myself more spiritual than a religious person. I do go to the Catholic Church 3 times a week. Fortunately, now here, I'm in a liberal parish, which I love, that's committed to social justice, has a food bank, and has a more liberal bunch of priests than at home, where it's extremely conservative. All we hear about is money, 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 and we need this and we need that. And, so I remain a Catholic and a spiritual person. I'm not great at meditating, but I do a lot of spiritual reading. I like the more liberal Catholic writers, Gary Wills, for example. Now I'm reading the Old Testament because I love the story of David, because our brother David died and we don't have him anymore. And so I love the story of David in the Bible, which really begins with the book of Samuel. So that's something that has anchored me most of my life. And even when I went to the Catholic schools, I was lucky to have good sisters teaching me. Sister Raymond Mary, who had Saturday school, because we had to pass a Regents in 8th grade. The kids in Boynton did not, but we did. So there's a lot that we could agree and disagree on the Catholic school, but I was there only from half of 5th grade till through 8th grade. And I don't know that Dave had a bad experience with the Catholic school either. I think perhaps we were lucky, and then the children that came after us were not so lucky. So I think that I've learned that I can't do it alone, and in the end there's only me and God, as one of my good friends said. So,
I do believe that you do need people. You can't go alone, you know, whether it be friends or my wife or, you know, I really just think it's great to have this family. I love this family, and I dearly miss Steve and regret that, you know, he really wanted me to come up and live up there. When he asked me when he was dying if I could come up and live up there. But I had 4 years till I had 30 years in with the county, and I
Couldn't do it.
no, I can't. You know, I'd be struggling for job to job up there, probably. You know, firefighter or whatever. And I don't know. I probably wouldn't even get on. You know, I mean, a pre-existing neck. 98 was my crisis. A friend of mine just said, we were talking
that's
about
interesting, man.
the other day,
Crises, wow.
February 28th.
Gosh.
It was a good thing, though. It really was. It enabled me to get the hell out of a bad marriage. But yeah, I was on the phone 2 days ago, February 28th, 3 days ago. He says, "How long has it been? Have you been, in so much pain?"
well, February 28th of 1998. And I said, whoa, it's been 14 years
Yes.
of, painkillers, fentanyl patch on my, this is supposed to be 100 times better than morphine, but it enabled me to keep my job. Because I could do it and have a clear head,
Yes.
and less pain. But, the settlement I got out of it, so I was just standing in, my little toilet truck, stopped dead, and this truck guy fell asleep at the wheel, and, 4 neck operations and thousands of dollars later. But I just love life. I loved my job. I did. And that's why I was real worried about retiring. And I just wanted, because it sort of was the only thing to define me for 31 years, just being out. Beautiful place. I didn't take, I realized it was beautiful. And it was a great job. Very good to me, too, Yeah. But, man, I love being retired.
I think we got a lot from Perry. This too shall pass. Even though I tend to still get anxious and overwrought and wound up. I've learned that grace in living is paramount. That everybody has crap in their lives, and the more gracefully you can take it and sort of focus on others, the better your life will be.
Totally.
I remember probably back in 2000, Claire saying to me, "I've lost my faith." And I think she went where Ann and I are, which is we're spiritual, we're not Catholic. Well, I always consider myself Catholic because it's part of my culture, really.
Yeah.
But I know I'm spiritual and I'm not religious. And I got to the point where when I would go to church and walk out of the church madder than when I went in, I knew something was not healthy there. And there was the backlash against John the 23rd, and everything that sort of swung to the right just infuriated me. So I thought,
Yes.
I can be very religious. I pray every day, and I pray for everybody, and I find real peace in that. But I sure have no compunction to go into a church.
Really?
No, no need.
Yeah.
How long?
Probably, I went to chapel with Claire because Claire, I think it
Annabelle,
helped her.
too.
But it wasn't Annabelle, it was Longview.
Oh,
And it was just
I sat
this
through that.
tiny little setting of probably
8 people.
8 to 10 old people. And I think Claire found comfort in that. And she never did want to go to Mass. I'd offer Annabelle or Immaculate, and she didn't want to do that. Yeah.
Good.
I'll just add, I stay in the church because of the Eucharist. You can take all the priests and the bishop and throw them
Yeah.
in the ocean and hope they go way out to sea and I never see any of them again.
No,
But I believe in the Eucharist, and I believe it gives me spiritual
Yeah,
sustenance.
and I
Good for you.
What are some of your very best memories of growing up Gilbert? And for me, the classic was Christmas at the Parkway, where they were, with 8 kids, they had way too much going on to wrap each present. So we had our chairs
That's right.
and our little name tags on the chair. And we'd come down on Christmas morning and there'd be all this stuff, these Monopoly games and sleds and sneakers all piled up on our chairs. And because there were so many of us, there was never, they were never really big, costly presents. But Claire would be in the kitchen baking a layer cake or a Swedish tea ring.
Yes.
And happy. She'd been up all night and then we
Midnight,
had to,
midnight mass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But that moment was such a sweet little chaos of all of us coming down the stairs and ripping open the presents, and that is like the flavor of Christmas to me.
Yeah.
Anything else just does not
Yeah.
compute. So that's one of my best memories.
I would go back to living at the Parkway. Claire called that the third parent. I will add this about the winters were wonderful. We spent all day skating, Dave and I, and we would do all sorts of things. I put this in my memoir. We would jump over 3 barrels lined up in a row. And Dave was the best spinner.
Yeah.
He could go round and round and round. I was very jealous of that.
His feminine
Oh,
side.
I just had the best time figure skating. I thought, oh, I could go into the Olympics. And all of us, I think, would walk over there and skate on Beebe Lake. And that's quite a walk from our house to Beebe Lake. And we'd spend the whole weekend days there. And then we'd go upstairs and have hot chocolate at the Johnny Parson Club. It was warm. You remember that,
Yep.
Muff. I don't know
Yep.
if Lois has memories of any of that. It was wonderful. And in the summer, now you can walk all around the lake. And in the summer, I took water safety instructor in 5 days with a man called Froggy Pond.
Froggy Pond.
And we were in there, the water, several hours a day. It was a warm in Beebe Lake.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. And one of my
It was
boyfriends had very strong arms, and we walked over that bridge where Dave's name is, that bridge over
Yeah.
Beebe Lake, and he wanted to hang by his arms and he couldn't swim from
Oh
the
my
bridge down to the water. So a lot of my happy memories are on Beebe Lake and Sheldon Pond, where Muff would remember we ice skated
Yeah.
at Sheldon Pond too. And the whole days would be skiing or skating, but mainly ice skating, and I grew to love it. And the only sport I'm avid and adamant about now is the ice skating in the Olympics, and I won't miss any of that.
Yeah, that's
So-
the one I skip.
But it was a joy growing up on the Parkway. And then I was editor of my high school newspaper. It was just the best time of my life, really, was the Parkway 48 to 68. And without doubt, that was probably the very happiest time of my life. So that and working at the camps in Maine, and particularly Les Chalets Francais, which was a magical summer.
So
Yeah.
you grew up in Florida. We
That's-
grew up
Yeah,
in Ithaca,
that's
New
it.
York.
Yeah.
And so you were a Florida boy from way back. So
Yeah.
your
That's
good
right.
memories of
Yeah.
growing up Gilbert would be about orange trees.
No, fishing and just sailing, and I always had a boat, and that was great. Just to be on the water all the time and sail and do everything. But I wasn't gonna live here. As soon, I wasn't. No, when I was 19
That's right.
or so, I'm up to New York. I'm
That's
living.
right.
I'm gonna live up there. I wanted to be around you guys. You
Yeah.
know.
But
My brothers.
You
And
came back for
Dave died.
Dave died.
Dave died, and I saw Perry and Claire get into the car. And Perry, I've never seen him cry, broke down when he told us about how he had heard. They had driven all the way back to Sarasota and turned right around and drove all the way back
Yeah.
to the
I remember.
Ithaca,
Yeah.
and that sucked. It was
Yeah.
just terrible.
Yeah.
Steve and John and Chris and I were in the living room at the Knob
Yeah.
when he came in, and he was really broken up about it, and that's why Claire had to do the
Eulogy.
eulogy. Yeah, because Claire, nothing phased her. She was solid as a rock,
Yeah.
Yeah. It took courage. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. You
You
rarely
really-
see her cry.
Yeah.
She
But
didn't
you
take Novocaine at the dentist.
Yeah.
That was her penance. She
Yeah.
felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But you had a really tender heart that none of us had.
Yeah, that's because
really.
I never was hit.
But when we were growing up on 852 Siesta Drive, I remember you saying, Ralph, our neighbor, our elderly neighbor, Ralph looks lonely. I'm going to go talk to him.
Oh.
None of us wanted to go.
One time, this guy came with Steve. They hitchhiked all the way across country. He was a real hippie guy. And he decided to do Perry a
Wasn't
favor.
John?
It was John. It was John's buddy. Yes.
Oh, that horrible.
Yes, this
His name is
knucklehead thinks he's going to do Perry a favor by cutting his tree down so Perry couldn't sit on the patio without, Ralph and Mary B seeing him on the patio. He hit the roof. Boy, was he pissed.
Growing up Gilbert, happiest memories?
There were a lot, and a lot are related to trips to Bar Harbor, Maine, to Florida, sleeping in the Seven Dwarfs Motel,
Forget that one.
and Dave going out with a sleeping bag on the lawn, and parking in front of all these people who were there enjoying the evening, and just saying, "I can't sleep in there."
Yeah.
John and I, you remember the BB and the hot chocolate up above. John and I would go through, at the time it was very popular, those penny loafers. and some rich Cornell guys would put dimes and quarters. John and I would
Dig 'em
strip
out.
it. So that's how we paid for our hot
Oh,
chocolate.
no, you didn't have any
We
money.
didn't have any money. So
Yeah.
we'd take it was if we found a quarter we were fat city.
Yeah.
We took every coin we possibly
Funny.
could find out of these penny loafers.
Yeah.
Go up and have our hot chocolate.
I could see John doing
Yeah.
that. I couldn't see you doing it. Of course, you gotta follow your brother.
And back then, I mean, a big, huge, what do you call it? Like a ice cream with chocolate covered on the
Yeah, with
outside.
Banana
That would be like 7 cents.
Yeah, yeah.
So a quarter was untold riches.
Yeah.
We didn't have any allowance.
But also the boys were always hellions, and there's no getting over. And
No,
I
they weren't.
remember vividly, I told Lois, sitting on the street corner at 5 years old, there at the Cuga Heights school driveway, and Steve and John and Dave saying, now when a car comes by, middle of winter and it's dark out, when a car comes by, throw a snowball at it.
Yeah.
And they all climb the pine trees.
Oh my gosh.
And I got a car go by, I throw my little snowball, boom, 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 from up on the pine tree.
Wow, that's
And I was
great.
also told, wherever you run, honey, don't run home.
Yeah.
So I'm running down through the schoolyard, because every car stopped after being bombarded.
Yeah.
And John and Steve never left, and Dave never left the trees.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But there were always instances like that. But a lot of, don't tell mom.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, good memories.
That's why I popped all those bicycles. I would what the heck?
John put you up to it.
Yeah.
That
No, I put
Ah.
4-year-old Polly Lutwack. He still won't talk to me. First day of kindergarten, I was getting picked on by the older guys. But kindergarten was only half day. The rest of the guys had to stay. Grabbed a nail and a hammer and Polly Lutwack. We went over there and bam, popped every one of them except for Chris's and Chris's best friend.
Bike tires.
My bike tire's flat. My bike tire's flat. And they tried to blame me for the gears being stripped. I wouldn't have got
They
caught, but
found
I
out.
saved all of the caps
Oh, no.
from every one of them and put them in a paper bag and hid them under a seat cushion on the front porch of the parkway.
Smart.
Claire was happening to clean the front porch that day. Finds them and calls the cops on me. I'm 5 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, but also Chris and his friend being the only ones who didn't have the flat tire.
Yeah. They kind of nailed me there.
Yeah, I remember you saying in front of the cop, it was a lot of work. If I'd known, I would have taken my brother's jackknife.
Oh, it scared me.
Okay.
I learned not to get caught. Not to save the evidence.
So this is the wisdom you're going to pass on.
That's right. Ditch all the evidence, man.
Don't hide it under the couch.
Okay, this is it for the Gilbert video on Sunday, March 4th, 2012. And is there anything you want to say, last words to posterity, to all your loved ones? Burn this video?
That'd be about right.
That's right. Everything I said was a lie. Total.
Names have been changed
Yeah.
to protect the innocent.
Polly
Well, listen,
who?
I would say something to my granddaughters. I would say, prepare for a career, prepare to support yourself all your life, do all your traveling and your study and your advanced study and your graduate study before you get married. And if you marry, be sure that you agree on your goals, on your religion, your spiritual life, and also that you have met the parents and that you agree on how to raise children.
Ah.
Unfortunately, it takes years to learn all this, but this would be what I would pass on to my grandchildren, granddaughters.
And I would like to say I live alone. I've been living alone now since 2006, so that's 6 years of living alone. I love it. I love it so much. This, I think, was really under promoted for women,
Yes.
for girls.
Yes.
And boy, it is a rich life. I have so many good friends. I go out every weekend. I see plays. I go to movies. I have dinners. I have card parties. My life is really full. And I just started learning filmmaking like 2 years ago. And I've made, I think, 39 movies.
Holy cow.
So, you know, you can learn anything no matter how old you are. It's never too late. And I love to be alone too. I love my solitude, and it's a rich solitude. So,
Live alone and love it.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I'm married, but this is all Wendy's. Downstairs, all mine.
All right.
And that office.
Yeah.
You have all the cows. And yeah, we're happy, you know, we love each other.
Yeah.
But it's good to, you know, have your own time alone. Yeah.
I will say though, I've been married nearly 50 years, and from the beginning, my husband promoted my career, supported me through the PhD, and supported everything I wanted to do when I changed careers. So I do owe a lot to Brad
Yeah.
and to Perry, who I love dearly and who is the shining light in my life and who has made us all very proud.
Aw.
Good for you.
Good.
The same thing. I you know, have been married twice. I think I probably would always choose married life, which is unusual. But I also agree that independence within that married life is crucial.
Oh,
that you
definitely.
have your own individuality, your own goals and passions. And my kids know they're the light of my life, and my grandchildren are, and I'm incredibly proud of them.
And that's why you're moving to Florida.
Well, that's the individually part. Your space and your family.
Yeah, we now have Skype. I can live
growing
right
up-
there.
Growing up, Gilbert did it to us, I think, you know, where we were constantly surrounded by people and really had a healthy respect for being alone, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Steve said that.
Yeah.
We all tried to get away, as far away from each other as we could.
Yeah.
There were 10
Yeah.
people in that household, and that.
Yeah, and
That
a
was-
limited supply of whatever went around.
Yeah,
Whether it's chocolate cake or tennis rackets.
Yeah.
You know?
I loved how
Remember the
Dave.
Pepsi-Cola?
Yeah.
And Perry would plop 4 or 5 glasses on, and each one would have that much Pepsi and that much water
Yeah.
in each glass.
Yeah.
There was water flavored Pepsi.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Linden Avenue.
The best part was at dessert time at the Parkway, because Dave had to cut the cake. Whatever you didn't eat, boy, you learned to eat your whole plate because it was going in that stuff and then mash it in together, cram it in, you had chocolate cake and peas. And some broccoli in there too. I love that.
But even though we were trying to get away from each other forever, you know, at the same time, my favorite people are right here.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Lois.
if I wish that Chris and John were
Yes,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, Chris, John,
Yeah.
am I
Dave.
missing anybody? Dave and Steve are
Dave and
gone.
Steve, yeah.
Man, you
Dave and
guys,
Steve.
you guys all
Yeah.
rock, and we miss you, and
Yep.
you
Perry
know,
and Claire miss them too.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we hope you're in the next video, Chris and John.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's it for me. Anybody else got anything to say?
I've said enough.
God bless us, everyone.
Yeah.
There you go.